What's up, you guys? Sasha Boss here, and today this is my Batman spoiler review for the Batman. So riddle me this: you have been warned about spoilers for Robert Pattinson's The Batman. Well, let's begin with our spoiler review. If you remember this from my last video, the Batman. The Batman, guys. This movie, the whole plot of this movie is honestly all about the Batman. It's all about Batman solving a mystery about the Riddler and how he's almost using terrorism to control Gotham, which is a really interesting plot. And he has to go through all different different clues and riddles and different things like that throughout the movie to figure out what the Riddler is up to and how to stop. It honestly reminds me a lot of the Calendar Man. If you not know what the Calendar Man is, it's a DC villain that works monthly on different holidays and different days on the calendar. He sets it up perfectly in timing. Okay, so that's the main gist of the plot. So this movie was epic. The way that this movie made me think was almost this psychological picture in my head of this jigsaw puzzle that each piece is getting built in. And it's really hard to figure out what the last piece of the puzzle is. It's almost like a big metaphor on how society is, like how Gotham society is, and that's what the Riddler's whole gist is for this film. That's like one of my favorite factors in this movie. It was the Riddler's jigsaw puzzle thinking to make this whole thing like extravaganza. Okay. So the way this movie opens up, guys, if I talk about the plot, it really sets us up for year two, because it shows us we got the signal, and actually shows us how Batman became Batman, works along with Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon, he plays a big factor in this movie. He's almost like Robin at times. He really efficiently helps with Batman. There's scenes in this movie, you know what I'm talking about, with Jim Gordon. Things I liked about him. The thing that he did with Batman, I'm like, oof. Yeah, it's not really, it's really interesting how he controlled that, but I thought it was interesting to put that on. So, the Batman. So, in the Batman's also in the underground. So, this movie, you actually get to see the Gotham Underground in this film. There's so much I liked about the Gotham Underground. This movie actually fulfilled its justice. We actually get to see the dirty, gritty side of Gotham that we don't typically get to see. With the Penguin, Falcone, you get to see those guys in the movie. And those story arcs were some of my favorite parts in this movie. Because if you don't know this already, I'm a pretty big fan of Falcone. Falcone is one of my absolute favorite one of my favorite Batman gangsters. He just a lot of fun. There's so much you could do with this character. They did it right. I like what they did with them. They almost made this like Italian mob leader, which I really like that aspect. Some of my favorite parts with the Underground is when Catwoman was sent out with the bat eye lenses, which are really cool. Almost like eye contacts, but they actually have lenses. This movie is really technologically advanced. This Batman. So this film actually got to see Selena Kyle in the Iceberg Lounge, wandering around, and those are some of the scenes I really appreciate in this movie, just because those scenes are really sentimental to how Catwoman is thinking, how she acts. It's a way to introduce us to who Selena Kyle is and who will she become. You know, if you know, Catwoman is a cat burglar, but she also works underground, and almost to get her whole origin. Another thing this movie really makes me think is how technologically has advanced throughout this film. Some of the major things, you get to see iPhones, you get to see a lot of technology in this movie. There's a lot of things I like about it. Some of the things, too, is the Batmobile is one of the major aspects in this movie. I think he just is the first. It's almost like the concept of Batman. If you've ever seen Iron Man, it's just like Iron Man. How Iron Man builds his armor, and then Iron Man almost builds up to become this amazing juggernaut of a hero. That's what this movie really is. Some of my favorite parts in this movie, I already said this, were the scenes with Falcone, the scenes with Catwoman, and the Iceberg Lounge. My favorite shot in the movie was the cinematography of practical effects, non-practical effects. My favorite Batman scene is when he's using the grappling hook and he's gliding up, escaping Gotham PD, which was an outstanding scene. And I like how everyone's almost against Batman, almost becoming this vigilante that people like hate. Some people really like this character. Some people really hate him for his good deeds. we always know this whole movie's message is no good deeds go unharmed, which is the main message in this movie. Some of my favorite Riddler scenes in this movie were the opening scene where it's actually duct taped the person and attacking them. There's so many really psychological scenes in this, almost you're watching a horror movie at times. And it almost reminds me of watching Scream, because like he's literally stalking people and he's going up and killing people. The whole ending of the Riddler was insane. It was insane, guys. There's so much I can talk about, but I can go on and on talking about this Riddler and why he does his justice to this character. You actually made him this really interesting, like, childish character who's fascinated with puzzles and riddles, and like the whole time he's talking to people on the phone is just insane. It just freaks me out every time I think about it. Ugh, gives me the goosebumps inside. Okay, my only gripe about this movie, it really looks like Piccadilly Circus mixed with New York City Times Square. The whole movie gives out that Times Square Piccadilly Circus vibes. It almost feels like a scene. It almost just feels like it's out of place. You know, different things like that. It feels like the whole like setting of the movie does feel like it's New York, but not New York. You know, trying to figure out where Gotham fits in. I always think Gotham is almost like the city mixed with like Boston accents. You know, New York accents. It's pretty much a business class city, filled with like businesses and like lawyers, stuff like that. A really hardworking city, if you ask me. So that's my only gripe about the movie. It looked like that. Another thing I'll talk to you guys about is the mayor. The mayor plays a huge role. It's pretty much about the politics of Gotham becoming a bigger, extravagant puzzle throughout the movie. Each puzzle is kind of scattered. You gotta build a puzzle in your mind of what's going on. That's what the main part is. Okay, was this a good take on Batman? Well, the answer is yes. Honestly, yes. There's so much I liked about this Batman with so much things. This is a great take on him. We actually get to see a depressed Batman, which we never got to see. He barely has, he's barely unseen with his mask. It was really interesting too, just to see this. Some of the actual car chases scenes with Batman were some of my most favorite moments, just because you actually get to see him traveling on the road, and the cinematography actually feels like you're actually riding a ride. And this is the playing factor is of this Batman. It was worth it just because he is in costume the whole time as Batman. Getting to see him kick butt, save the day. It just was excellent. Excellent take on this character. Okay, so the Riddler, I said before, his mind games were extravagant in this movie. From the opening shot to the very end, this guy does not give up. He is one of those try hard, give again attitudes with this Riddler. Like he's so memorizing. Like he is so fascinating how he thinks and how logically it takes him to make this thing extravagant. I really want to know more about him. And also, he only has like 500 followers, and just people probably from the underground who appreciate him, like the Penguin. Another thing I'll talk to you guys about is the Penguin really fast. The Penguin is in this movie. It's really a really unique take on Oswald Copperpot. It almost gives like that sour feeling in your stomach, you know, when you think about this Penguin. There's some like dirty and shady stuff that's going on with the character, but you don't really know what's up with him. But all we know, he is the owner of the Iceberg Lounge, and we don't really get to see him in action. Just almost become a kingpin type of character. Nothing too extravagant on him. The way this sets up for a sequel is gonna be a post-apocalyptic. I can't believe it could be a post-apocalyptic Gotham with everything flooded. Sorry for the major spoiler there. Everything is like flooded at the end. If you remember the ending, I think we're gonna get Killer Croc next. This is my guess. Please, Killer Croc. But other than that, this Batman has been extravagant. This movie was an adventure. It was a thrill ride. It was like a roller coaster with ups and downs. And this movie was insane. So many creepy elements, so many dark things, which I really appreciate. Jim Gordon was awesome in this movie. Alfred was okay. There's so much I like, little I hate. But other than that, this Batman was worth the hype. Other than that, you guys, please like and subscribe, and I see you guys later for more Sasha Box videos. And I also highly recommend you go check out the Batman.